The man with many names that always dance the same. This one is probably one of the more personal ones to me. It actually kind of describes a moment in my life, and also a person that I think probably out of all the people that have kind of shared with me their experiences of forgotten stories, the ones that have lived in Oxford for longer, this is the poem that they're always kind of to want to talk about first. Everyone remembers Colonel Mustard or Captain Tap or whatever name they knew him by. He was kind of a fixture of Queen Street throughout the kind of 80s and 90s, really. Some of my earliest memories of coming into the city centre with my mum is walking past his boombox while he was doing his little tap dance shuffle. And yeah, he stayed doing that until I was kind of well into my late teens. Yeah, just an iconic guy. And actually, long before I had the idea for Forgotten Stories, I had in my lyric book, a little note to say, write a song about Captain Tap. Because yeah, he was just such a character, and I wanted to just leave a record of his life, because for a lot of people, in fact, it turns out more people than I thought. He's just a really solid memory and a solid fixture in their life and their memories of Oxford. So I knew him as Captain Tap. Other people knew him of my age knew him as Colonel Mustard. And when I first started kind of looking into his life, I found that he'd actually had a lot more names than that throughout his life. He grew up in Glasgow, where he worked in a dance hall with as part of a double act, which he described himself as terrible in an interview. And then mysteriously, his partner died. I think he described it in the interview that I saw that his partner was killed, and couldn't find any more information than that. And then shortly afterwards, he made his way south and found himself in London. He appears in a documentary that was filmed in the 60s in London. I think it's called The London Nobody Knows. And there he was interviewed as a kind of a street performer of note in the city. Somehow in the early 80s, he found himself in Belgium as the lead singer of a Belgian pop group, released a few singles and I think a couple of albums under that name. And then, yeah, somehow found his way to Oxford, which is where I met him. And we had this kind of interaction that I describe in the poem. Me and a couple of good friends were waiting for a bus one day, just opposite where he used to dance on the corner of Queen Street. And yeah, he just randomly came tap dancing across the street to me and looked me in the eye and told me that I was Bob Marley, and then blew me a kiss and went back to the other side of the street. Yeah, it was such a, there was no, it was like a really like loving exchange that he was like, "You're Bob Marley, you are," and then just danced off again. Like, as a like 12, 13, 14-year-old, me and my mates just found it really awkward and just hilarious. But like, it's definitely an interaction that's always stayed with me. Every time I kind of walk down that street, I think about that. And, what a legend that guy was, he was dancing on that corner into his late 90s. I think it was 97 when he eventually kind of had to knock it on the head. But yeah, I mean, even in his 90s, he went missing for a short time and turned up, just arrived back home one day as if nothing had happened. And he was like, "Yeah, I realised I hadn't been to London for ages and just decided to go." So he set off in his slippers and a top hat, said that he spent a few nights sleeping on the banks of the Thames and on the roof of a building. And then came back to Oxford, not knowing that like there'd been articles in the Oxford Mail and people searching for him and all sorts. Didn't realise that he caused such a fuss. But another story is that he was hired by a group of students to perform at a private party, and Apparently, a bit of a mystery whether he fell or whether he was pushed off a table, and quite badly damaged his back. But still, having that injury in his 90s, still came back and performed on the streets for many years after that. Yeah, just a real character that clearly loved performing and made that dance work for him for a very long time. This piece is just a memorial of that character that, yeah, left a real big impact on me and a lot of people that came across him.